for me, it then kind of snowballed into a lot more than that.
My name's Aiden. I'm currently 4 weeks out from my first bodybuilding comp, natural bodybuilding comp. Someone a lot smarter than me once said that adversity
Introduces a man to himself. I like that. You don't realize your pitfalls as a person, and you can't really be comfortable with your morals as a person until you've tested yourself to a point where those cracks in your personality begin to show. And then once you understand that part of yourself, you then have an opportunity to choose to try and be a good person despite that.
For those that don't know, basically what bodybuilding is, the process of preparing for a bodybuilding competition. You diet for a prolonged period of time to the point of adverse health effects, which may sound crazy to a lot of people, just to step up on the stage to, look good and show off. Bodybuilding taught me from very early on that there is a lot to take away from striving for discomfort. If you enter that with a level of self-awareness, you can take lessons that transcend the gym, transcend dieting, that you can take really into life.
Well, I think I knew about bodybuilding when I first kind of stepped into the gym when I was 16, 17, but my perspective on it was very different to what it is now, because what you kind of see from the outside is quite different. And you don't see much of natural bodybuilding, which is quite different to, the bodybuilding that most people think about. Like, I think everyone thinks about Arnie and then Ronnie Coleman and stuff like that. And there's different sides to that compared to natural bodybuilding. I mean, I've been training since I was a teenager. For the usual reasons you start as a teenager, wanting to get girls because you're skinny and you think that going to the gym, putting on muscle will get you girls. Really, it just gets more attention from blokes. But competing, I kind of had it in the back of my mind. The big kind of deciding factor for me was when I got back from Europe at the end of last year. Doing what you do in Europe, drinking most days, eating whatever you want, having a great time. But I just felt my general anxiety just increasing as the holiday went on. I feel like I need a certain level of stress and discipline to kind of anchor me. I kind of realized a lot towards the back end of that trip, the importance of intentional suffering. Having something difficult you're taking on, a burden you're taking on to grow as a person. I think there's a lot of importance in that. And I was like, mentally I didn't know why. After like a month of relaxing, I just felt so mentally out of it. Like I remember when I was in Italy, we were walking through a market and something very strange happened. I had no idea what it was, but I was incredibly overwhelmed and felt like very uncomfortable. And this started happening a bit more. Went to the doctor because I thought there was something wrong with my brain. And she told me that I was having a panic attack. And I was like, oh, fuck, really? And I think I stressed myself out to the point of having a panic attack. And that was another thing where I was like, man, I need something to reset me, something to ground me a bit, and to really focus on. And getting back into training and focusing on this just completely made that go on.
I'm Bella. I'm Aiden's girlfriend. PrEP is so tough, but he's like been such a champ through it all. but it really is just like depleting and grueling. I'm excited for it to be over. I think just like not being able to go and do things that we used to be able to do, like going on dates, going and eating out and drinking, going on little like dinner dates and stuff, having wine with him, and then other things that we do get to do together that's not like surrounded by like food or drinking. He's kind of like depleted from that as well. So it's like a lot of his focus has been put towards something else, which he prepped me about. He told me in the beginning he was deciding to do this. He was like, look, it's going to be so shit, but it's going to be really rewarding for him. So I got briefed in the beginning, but I don't think I was really prepared for what it was actually like.
I've never really trained for other people. It's always been a very personal thing. But my coaching, I've always wanted to educate people because I feel like if I can educate people, I can help them improve themselves as well. But what I realized a couple months in, just from the reactions I was getting from sharing my journey along the way, was that just doing hard things and talking about it really helps other people do the same thing, or inspires other people to do the same thing. Self-accountability is one of the big things for me. Upholding that value in a bodybuilding prep is so important from a mindset perspective, because it's very easy to get down on yourself and be like, I can't do this because of prep. I can't uphold this because of prep. I'm failing at this because of prep, or this is so hard. But you have to remind yourself, you just got to deal with the cards that you're currently dealt. Discipline, I think, goes with that a little bit. Service to others. Although, and it sounds a bit strange because bodybuilding is such a selfish kind of endeavor, especially in this period, you can't have a positive impact on others without working on yourself. That's definitely a value that I would want to focus more on coming out of this prep. And I think I've possibly developed some tools throughout this to be able to do that better. Honesty to yourself, being honest with yourself, and also trying to be honest and open with the world as well, and project yourself in a way that is a reflection of yourself and your values and what you believe in.
I do think he's really patient and like really resilient. He's also just like really kind, just like a sweetheart. So even if he's like a little bit cranky, he's still like an angel.
Sensitive, I think. Driven. I'll take curious as well, because I think it's one of my biggest, I'll call it a strength, my curiosity, because I always seek to understand, and I enjoy trying to understand things. I'm very introspective, and I suppose it goes with that.
Condition is everything in bodybuilding. How lean you are is a reflection of your internal fortitude. It's a reflection of how far you're willing to go. As you move throughout a bodybuilding prep, your energy drops, your testosterone drops. This makes it harder to train with a high level of output in the gym and retain muscle. As your physical body begins to let you down, you're forced to make up for that with that mental tenacity and fortitude. And just when you feel like you are at your limit mentally, you drop off again physically, and you're forced to step up or crumble under that pressure. And I think learning to do that, if I can take 80% of that into my off season, into life, I think there's going to be profound benefit there. If you allow yourself to get complacent, it will remind you to not get complacent. You know, I had a week previous to last where I felt like, you know what, this isn't too bad. I'm doing pretty well. I've got my habits down, I'm hitting my steps, hitting my food, training hard. Because of that, you get complacent, you let a couple little habits slip. Yeah, everything feels like it's crumbling down around you. I think last week was the first time in prep where I did break down crying, and then I broke down crying again. I think the next day to my girlfriend. It's definitely a very emotionally turbulent time, but again, that is what will, allow you to see the worst parts of yourself, and parts of yourself you may not like, parts of ourselves that we all have in us, and it's not until we're pushed and we're tested and we're challenged that we can be exposed to those sides.